Welcome in, everybody. Dan Helly, Casey Jacobson, Monmouth with a 1-point lead on St. John's early here. If you're just joining us, these Monmouth Hawks coming in, riding a 7-game win streak off their best start in 31 years. They have a net ranking significantly higher than St. John's. Posh Alexander off the mark from 3, and that has been an issue.
Yeah, Posh got off to a blistering start first 2 games of the season, but it's really cooled off as Walker Miller, the starting center for Monmouth, gets a basket to go his first of the game. But they need Posh Alexander to kind of refine that form that he started the season with from deep.
8-5 here in the early going, 15:45 left, and Champagny with the steal. Drops it off to Alexander, up and in.
Well, Posh Alexander is devastating in transition. A really nice steal from Champagny, and he finds his running mate. Where is he? There he is. And we got a nice one.
For those of you who weren't with us early on, Shavar Reynolds with a couple of early threes, giving Monmouth the lead here on the road at Carnesecca Arena.
Yeah, and Shavar, he is very familiar with this St. John's opponent, of course, because he was a role player for Seton Hall, but now he is one of the stars for one of the most talented and experienced Monmouth teams. Shavar is averaging 16 points per game coming in, and you see those net rankings, Dan. I think there's a lot of our viewers who are shocked by this. And this is now a quad 2 opportunity for both of these teams. But that might be a surprise coming into the season for St. John's fans, like having Monmouth come to your home gym for a quad 2 game. And what does that mean, quad 2? Well, the NCAA hired Google, you might have heard of them, to come up with a better formula to replace the RPI, which was the ratings percentage index. So now we have this NCAA evaluation tool, the net, and they break it down into 4 quads, quad 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is a quad 2 opportunity now because of Monmouth's 7-game win streak, because they are ranked 44th, which falls in the line between, you have to be ranked between 31 and 75. To have it be a quad 2 opportunity at home, which is what it is right now.
Pappas turns it over, and St. John's going to get the ball with things all tied up at 8 after Posh Alexander hit the beautiful layup and then the and-one free throw. It all sounds a little complicated to me, Case. I know you're from Stanford. I'm just a Tennessee guy, so I'm going to let Google figure it all out and then just look at the numbers.
No doubt.
Nice pass down low, but blocked by Pappas.
On a missed opportunity there from Mathis, who's really good living in the shadows down there by the baseline as St. John's gets another steal.
Arusu with the steal, and they're going to call the block and foul. Montez Mathis with the finish for the Johnnies.
Yeah, he's been an inconsistent shooter, Mathis has, but in transition, this entire St. John's team is so good in transition. And how about the pass from Adai Wusu? Okay, he is coming off a career-high 11 assists, and he's not even the starting point guard. That's Posh Alexander's job. But no, Adai Wusu is really turning into the second ball handler on this team, and you saw his vision getting that pass to Mathis.
Baltimore, Maryland native. Had minor ankle surgery in September, but he's good now. His 3rd start of the season, and you mentioned the career-high 11 assists against Fordham. That's the most by a Big East player this season. Very impressive for a day this year.
You already have Posh Alexander, who's, leads the Big East in assists per game at 6. And then you have another guy, Adai Wusu. That's just, Julian Champagny's got to be licking his lips, right? He's one of the best scorers in the country. Now he's got 2 guys to get him the rock.
Here's Shavar. They're going to call the foul on Steph Smith, the grad transfer from Vermont. Smith started the first 7 games, and now he's coming off the bench. He's making way for Adai Wusu, and Isaiah Naiwi also in that starting lineup as well.
Steph Smith provides some much-needed shooting to the St. John's team. He has not shot the ball well so far early in the season, just 24%. But he comes into this game having made 204 career threes, so you know it's only a matter of time.
Reynolds on Alexander. 2 familiar foes from their days competing in the Big East. Swinging it around. Bottom Steph Smith hits the first three-pointer of the game for the Johnnies.
Don't you love it when you bring up something? He really needed a shot to go down to Steph Smith. And how about Posh Alexander getting the ball to the middle of the floor with his head up? He is in transition, not looking to score himself, but to set up his teammates.
Inside, worked hard for that one. Joel Soriano got a piece of it.
Nice pass.
Great passing by Monmouth, and then the finish by Miles Foster down low. Corner. No good. 4-point ball game. Just over 13 and a half minutes to go here in the first half.
Monmouth offensively, we talked to their head coach, King Rice, who told us he wants his team to be ultra aggressive in the first 9 seconds of the shot clock. He pretty much gives everybody the green light that if they don't have something, they want to be responsible and judicious in the half court.
Reynolds short, and Alexander comes up with the rebound. It was interesting to talk to King Rice because he did not have the green light. Posh gets his own rebound. Fight for it, goes up again. And finally, Shavar has it poked out of bounds by Posh. He said, you know, I got it. I understood why Coach told me that I shouldn't shoot.
And that coach was Dean Smith.
One of the greatest of all time.
During his playing days in North Carolina, yes.
But it also messed with my confidence a little bit. So his deal is he's never going to tell anybody they can't shoot.
Which is a dangerous proposition.
100%.
But he walked it back a little bit. He said, yes, I want all of my players to know that I have their back, and if it's a good shot, they want to take it. They don't need to look over their shoulder at me to know if it's a good shot or not. However, he wants these guys to be responsible and know who the best players are, the guys who should get the most shots.
Foster, left hand, in. Back to a 2-point ball game.
And Miles Foster already making a name for himself. He's the leading scorer off the bench. This is not a deep Monmouth team. They rely heavily on their starting 5, but Miles Foster is a guy that can score down low in the post. He loves contact.
Steph Smith trying to squeeze it through a double team. Off the leg of Foster and out of bounds. Foster, one of those who is very familiar with these St. John's players. Grew up playing with Posh and Julian Champagny as well. Great look down low. Can't finish, but there to clean up the mess is Joel Soriano.
Soriano lost his starting job to Naiwi last game. They need some more energy and effort plays just like that. They're not going to run a ton of plays for Soriano down low on the block. Occasionally, they'll let him go one-on-one, but he needs to clean up the glass.
Samuel Chapu driving baseline, gets it back, will fire from distance. Got it.
St. John's defensively, they missed a rotation there. You saw that late closeout from Soriano. He kind of just parked his butt underneath the basket. He's got to have his head on a swivel. He's got to make a rotation as well.
Little step back for Julian Champagny, working on Ruddy, who is the defensive stopper for Monmouth. Nice move. You can see why he's second in the Big East in scoring per game.
He scores points in basketball like you and I breathe air. Just his first bucket of the game. Started off missing his first 2.
Too strong. Soriano with the rebound.
Monmouth is strictly man-to-man defensive team. They are going to switch 1 through 5. You see right here now, Posh Alexander has a mismatch, so does Soriano.
Soriano double team down low, powers it up, and he's fouled.
Samuel Chapu, the rotation, 1 man short, and this is a Monmouth team that's going to make you pay. And speaking of making you pay, even if you contest his shot, it's going in.
This was a guy that I grew up watching. King Rice at North Carolina from 87 to 91. 6th on the all-time assist list for UNC. Co-captain of the 91 Final Four team. And King Rice This is something he didn't do a whole lot of in college, Casey.
No, but he has given the green light to his players to let it fly from deep when they're open. The ball movement is good. Shavar Reynolds, who knows this building inside and out, is off to a good start. This is a Monmouth team that only attempts 17 threes a game, but they shoot it very well, Dan. 39% coming into the game, which ranks 25th best in the entire country. And I'm not saying that they have to have a certain amount of threes go in to get a win today. They are a multifaceted offensive team, but certainly a good start from the perimeter has got to do wonders for their confidence.
Joel Soriano hits the first, puts St. John's up by 5. Their biggest lead of the game so far.
Offensively, it's been a nice balance for St. John's. They've had 6 different guys score. And we're not even halfway through the first half.
Look at Julian Champagny, who flirted with the NBA last year.
I love Julian Champagny, like his temperament. He lets the game come to him. He doesn't force stuff. You know, in the Kansas game, he only shot 3 times in the first half, and then he comes out in the second half and hits his first 5 threes of the game. But he's not a guy that comes into the game thinking, I have to shoot and score to win.
That was the freshman Rafael Pinzon with the steal for the Johnnies. Deep shot from Adewusu. Doesn't catch anything, goes out of bounds, and Monmouth will have possession.
Every time I watch Adewusu, I'm blown away by how big he is. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on. But for a guard, I mean, 6'4", 235 pounds, he's wearing a long sleeve shirt, so you can easily identify him. But he'd be easily identifiable anyways just because of how big his shoulders are.
Yeah, he is a big kid. Teammates with Posh Alexander in high school. Once dropped 50 in a game to Adewusu, and Posh scored 60 in a game. Imagine having those two dudes in the backcourt. Another turnover from Monmouth. Champagny to Pinzon. Back to Champagny. Looked like he couldn't decide whether he wanted to dunk it or not.
Yeah, that was number 24, Miles Ruth, the 6-foot sophomore who got in front of Champagny and kind of moved out of his way, but it was an awkward takeoff here. And watch here, the sophomore getting out of the way. Oh, there was a little bit of a bump. That should have been called, actually. He was airborne, and then he gets clipped on the thigh. No call there.
Miles Ruth, guarded by Steph Smith. Soriano with the block. And Penny back to Posh. Posh again with a difficult layup. This one from the other side.
Oh, Steph Smith with the behind-the-head pass. Awkward shot there, but I love the passing from St. John's. They're very unselfish.
Oh. Champagny thought he was going to get another one, not this time. And it's Shavar Reynolds with his 3rd three-pointer in the game. Back to a 5-point game.
Shavar is ready to go in this one, no doubt.
Again, 4 threes from Shavar Reynolds, the Seton Hall transfer, on fire early on. 4 for 4 from distance. Leads all scores with 12 in the game.
St. John's fans will always remember Shavar Reynolds after his buzzer-beating shot in 2018, but they're going to remember him in a Monmouth uniform the way he's playing tonight.
Here's Ruth, little crossover, and then Pinzon.
Nice.
Good hands off Ruth's knee and out of bounds.
Well, Shavar Reynolds was always an incredible leader, a grinder during his career at Seton Hall, but he came to Monmouth to lead this team not only off the court but on the court in points, assists, and he is feeling it right now. He's one of my favorite players in the Big East covering this conference for FS1 over the last several years. He came in as a walk-on and earned his spot with Kevin Willard's team. And he's earning all of his minutes and accolades this year.
Nice pass down low. Soriano with the dish and Omar Stanley with the finish.
Haven't seen Omar Stanley in a couple of games. He had 14 points in the opener against Mississippi Valley State. That's our offensive goaltending because that ball hit the backboard first. And then Soriano touched it afterwards.
How about Shavar Reynolds, the Seton Hall transfer, 12 points, 4 threes, on fire early on.
Let's take care of the ball. Now, I say it again. In order to help your teammate, you got to meet passing. You can't be going this way. You got to go meet the pass. Got it?
A point of emphasis for Johnny's head coach, Mike Anderson. They lead the Big East in turnovers with almost 16 per game. That's not a category you want to lead the Big East in.
Absolutely not. They've struggled with the turnover battle. Look at Shavar Reynolds has really gotten Monmouth off to a fantastic start, and there's no excuse for St. John's. I know there's a lot of new players on the St. John's roster, a lot of transfers, but like Posh Alexander, Dylan Ade-Wusu, Julian Champagne know all about Shavar Reynolds Jr. and what this game means to him. And now you have given him monster confidence. He's already a confident young man, but now you're playing against a totally different Reynolds. You're going to have to make an adjustment and take his three-point shot away.
And there's Posh. Another nifty layup for the point guard. Puts the Johnnies up by 4. Reynolds has scored the last 8 points for the Hawks.
Monmouth's leading scorer is number 5, George Pappas. 0 points so far, and yet Monmouth's still in the game. It's a good sign if you're a Hawk fan.
Nice block there by Naiwi.
Posh Alexander, his favorite superhero is Flash. If you didn't know, he's so fast, so strong, it's pretty appropriate.
Posh Alexander with a career-high 23 against Fordham on Sunday. The Big East leader in assists and steals. I still think one of the coolest things when you talk about Posh Alexander is the fact he was the Big East freshman and defensive player of the year last season. Yeah. The only other 2 to ever do that in the Big East, Patrick Ewing and AI. That's amazing company.
That's a list of basketball players that you definitely want to be on. And I'll go as far as this. This is Posh Alexander's team. I know Julian Champagne is the best player, but Posh Alexander dictates the pace on both ends for the Johnnies.
Ade-Wusu, guarded by McClary. Posh. Off the mark, still 4-point lead for the Johnnies. Under 7 to go here in the first half. Again, that basket has a lid on it for George Pappas.
And he's going to keep shooting.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. He is 0 for 5 from the field, battling down low. St. John's comes up with a loose ball. Ade-Wusu goes to the left hand. And that's going to be out of bounds on St. John's.
Posh Alexander came into the season having worked really diligently on improving his three-point shot. In the first 2 games, he was lighting it up against, inferior competition, no doubt. But since then, look at this, 2 for 19. And I'm not saying he's got to be Steph Curry out there, but he's got to be a threat. In pick-and-roll situations, teams are going to go underneath him and dare him to shoot. He needs to start making a few. He can do that, though, Dan.
In between 3 Hawk defenders, slicing his way to the hoop. It's 29-23, a 6-point lead, and Posh Alexander with 7 points in the game. He is leading the way for the Johnnies.
You can't keep him in front. I mean, give him a head start. So that's my point is most defenders are going to give him plenty of space. They're going to back up. The danger of doing that is now you allow him a head start. And so I don't know really how you defend Posh Alexander. Don't ask me. I'm not known for defense. But I do know whatever you can do to build a wall and gap cover him and make him a perimeter jump shooter. the trap there on Pappas.
Putting that shoulder down, in and out. That was Miles Foster there to put it back. Back to a 4-point ball game, just under 6 to go here in the first half. And there's Posh. He's fouled by Shavar Reynolds.
They have 4 guys who average double figures as Monmouth. 4 of their 5 starters, and Foster is the one who does not. But he's provided a nice spark. He's got 6 points on 3 of 4 shooting early on in this first half to make up for the fact that McClary and Pappas and Ruddy, 3 starters, Dan, 0 points for Monmouth.
The one thing Monmouth has done better than anybody this season is rebound. They have not been out-rebounded in a single game this year, and once again, they hold the rebounding edge 18-15 here in the first half over the Giants.
And it's not like Monmouth has played really bad teams as well, right? They got to win at Cincinnati, their best win of the season. They got to win it. I love the rebounding battle tonight, by the way. You mentioned the rebound. Both these teams are very much aware that rebounding is going to be one of the central themes tonight.
That has been hammered home by both coaches. Kind of funny to see Posh Alexander as he's laying out of bounds, literally punching the ball back in bounds, but he was out of bounds when he did so. So Monmouth takes over, and the pressure coming here from St. John's.
It's a left-handed hook pass, a very unfundamental, dangerous pass that, fortunately for Monmouth, was completed.
They didn't teach the left-handed hook pass at Stanford?
During a press break? No. Nice shot fake there.
Back to Pappas, who's open for 3. And he's short, but again, Miles Foster there to put it back. And Foster now with 8 points in the game.
He outworked 3 different Johnny's players underneath, including Julian Champagny.
Oh, my! Champagny went for all of it there.
This will be the best miss that you will see all season. Ooh, that had the chance to be on every highlight reel across the country.
Oh, so close. I appreciate the effort, though, Julian.
Absolutely. He's so much fun to watch. I could go on and on about Julian, watching him. One of my favorite things as a broadcaster, Dan, is watching players grow, right? Take that step. And I thought Julian Champagny made the leap from good to great last year. Was a very good freshman, 10 points per game, and then last year just exploded 20 points per game and was so consistent. And I love NBA comps, right? Some people don't. I love it. My NBA comp for Julian Champagny is Chris Middleton, the all-star guard forward for the Milwaukee Bucks. They're both 6'7" wings, very versatile scorers. They have 3-point range, and people don't remember that Chris Middleton came from Texas A&M. He was not as good of a scorer as Julian Champagny is. The one thing I would say for all you people at home that are getting mad at me for that comp, I understand Middleton is a better defensive player than Julian Champagny is right now. But hey, if Julian makes that jump on the defensive end too, I could definitely see him becoming a fixture in the NBA.
Here's Champagny knocked out of bounds by Ruddy. So I like that comp. Makes a lot of sense. And that was the feedback he got from the NBA folks, right? Was that he needed to work on that defense.
Yeah, he was not healthy as Champagny puts it up from mid-range. And is running the smallest player on the floor, right?
6 foot, 200-pound Posh Alexander in the paint getting the tip.
He's 6 feet tall, but he doesn't know that he's 6 feet tall. He plays like he's 6'7". Incredible. But going back to Julian Champagny, yeah, he got the feedback. He was not healthy during the workouts, but guys were saying to him, and when I say guys, I mean scouts and GMs, you need to become a more versatile defender. If your defense could match your offense, now we're talking.
That was a smooth step back from Shavar Reynolds. He has 16 in the game for the Hawks. a strong drive to the rim.
If a bulldozer put on a basketball uniform, that's exactly what it would do. It would just go right down Main Street. Guys would be bouncing off of them like flies on a windshield. Nobody wants to step in front of a Adae Wusu.
Pappas dropping it off. Good defensive play. Soriano and Champagnie were there for the Johnnies. You can see Pappas just calling for the ball. Let's go. Shot clock winding down here at 2 seconds. Reynolds has to shoot it. And fouled as he is driving to the hoop is Montez Mathis.
Dylan Adae Wusu. Does somebody want to step up and take a charge? I think not, and I don't blame you. St. John's enjoying an early lead in the first half, courtesy on this play of Dylan Adae Wusu, who is just a steamroller, a huge guard, and he is listed at 6'4", 235 pounds. So I wanted to compare him not to an NBA player like Julian Champagnie, but an NFL running back or a wide receiver like DK Metcalf. How about the two quarterbacks on the end? Look at how big Daniel Jones and Josh Allen are. When I was researching this, Dan, I was like, man, NFL players are so big. Even NFL quarterbacks are bigger than a Dylan Adae Wusu.
It's incredible, and nobody wants to tackle that guy, and maybe that's why when he drives down the lane, you see somebody kind of reaching. They don't want to get in there and take that charge. No chance. Dylan Adae Wusu, the sophomore from the Bronx, our Savior Lutheran, mentioned that he played with Posh Alexander in high school, and after that ankle surgery in September, he's starting to come around, came into this game averaging 8 points and 4 assists per game. And that is a filthy backcourt to have playing together in high school. And Adae Wusu and Posh Alexander. Montez Mathis hits the first free throw, coming into this game as a 67% free throw shooter.
And Mathis could never really break through in his 3 years at Rutgers for Coach Steve Peichel. His best statistical year was his freshman year. He averaged 8.5 points a game and played almost half the game. He just couldn't break that lineup. They had some good players, Geo Baker, Ron Harper Jr. certainly. He was trying to find greener pastures here with the Johnnies.
9-point differential here with just under 2.5 to go in the first half.
Deep catch.
Very patient shot from Miles Foster.
Yeah, he's been excellent, Foster has, for Monmouth, providing a low post presence to balance out Shavar Reynolds and Pappas as threats on the perimeter. But that's too deep of a catch if you're St. John's.
Another nice drive for Adae Wusu. 6 points in the game for him. And back to a 9-point lead. Open is Shavar Reynolds, and he hits again. That's now 19 points in the game for the Seton Hall transfer. He has been on fire. His career high, 25. Went over St. Joe's in November. Posh Alexander hangs and hits.
I thought he had an easier shot on the strong side, but he made it a more creative shot. Certainly, it goes in. But Posh, the smaller you are, the more creative you have to be around the rim to score, and Posh can certainly do that. He can hit shots around the rim in all sorts of ways.
Timeout from Monmouth. 1:15 to go. We're back at Carnesecca Arena. Been a career day for Shavar Reynolds so far. 19 points, 5 3-pointers. His career high, 25 earlier this year against St. Joe's, and he's creeping up on it. How about Posh Alexander? Just uber creative, Casey.
It's awesome. He's small, but he plays like he's the tallest player on the floor. That time with the reverse. I mentioned it in the open, Dan. This matchup right here, Posh Alexander versus Shavar Reynolds Jr. is the one to watch. It has been that thus far.
Walker Miller's shot doesn't fall. Just 2 points in the game for Miller here in the first half. Under a minute to go.
Isolation here for Champagnie. I'm surprised he gives it up. He had a one-on-one opportunity there.
And out of bounds, Monmouth are going to take over with just about 45 seconds to go. That was Teron Allen playing defense on Champagnie. I'm surprised as well. There's Miller. Dewusu backing him in, lowering the shoulder. And another play down low by Miles Foster. Rips it away and scores.
If you're a Johnny's fan and you're watching Soriano battle there, that can't happen. This is your house. You got to rip that ball away. Credit Foster. He has been the surprise offensive force for Monmouth, keeping them in this game.
5 seconds to go. Champagnie over to Dewusu. Bouncing around, and it's going to be a 6-point St. John's lead heading into the locker room. Back in New York, FS1 College Hoops sponsored by Jeep. There is only one at Carnesecca Arena here in Queens. Dan Helly, Casey Jacobson, a 6-point lead for the Johnnies. Monmouth coming in, riding a 7-game winning streak. What do they need to do here in the second half to tighten things up?
Yeah, Monmouth offensively, they need to get their leading scorer, George Pappas, going. He was 0 of 5 from the three-point arc. I think they need to get a play for him going to the basket. Maybe they can get him some foul shots. And then defensively, Monmouth has to keep an eye on Julian Champagnie. I know that's easier said than done. Champagnie only had 5 points in that first half, Dan, but I'm telling you, he is a better second-half player than anybody in the country. If you don't want to believe me, then ask Kansas and Indiana, because he had monster second halves against those two programs.
Indeed, he did. Both of those the only 2 losses of the year for St. John's, but Champagnie certainly bringing his A game.
And look at Mathis, number 23, all over Pappas. He's not letting him breathe at all.
Going to call the foul on Isaiah Naiwi.
One of the favorite plays that Monmouth likes to run is this floppy action where Pappas is, see them get tangled up right there. Pappas is running the baseline. That time they faked him running off the baseline, and he became a screener trying to get Walker Miller a shot.
Shavar inside. Spinning around a couple of times, left-handed. Shot doesn't go for McClary again, and this time he's fouled by Naira.
We have not called Marcus McClary's name hardly at all. And King Rice, the head coach from Monmouth, couldn't say enough great things about Marcus. He went to the Patrick School in Hillside, New Jersey, so this game means a lot to him too. That's the same school that Kyrie Irving and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist went. And King Rice said when he watched him play in high school, he went into the gym and saw this young man guarding every single player in the gym, whether they were a center, whether they were a point guard, whether they were a wing, it didn't matter. This young man is a competitor. And what's interesting is his offense has finally blossomed. Like, right? You know, he was always a good defensive player, but his offense really scored. He had a season high, career high, 15 points. Last season, he's already surpassed 15 points 3 different times this season, but today has been bottled up.
Yeah, started his career really as a defensive specialist. Actually played down low, played the 4 and the 5 spots the last few years, and been able to play more of his natural position this year, but it has been a quiet night for McClary.
Wow, putting it on the deck.
And hanging with the rebound is Montez Mathis. Good passing down low. Posh Alexander on the reverse.
That's the second time we have seen that reverse on the other side of the rim for Posh Alexander. Again, Julian Champagnie, if I haven't mentioned it before, I will again. He's so unselfish. That time he draws 2 defenders. And Posh Alexander is not a guy that's just going to stand in the corner. He doesn't want those catch-and-shoot threes. He wants to go running at the rim where he is most devastating.
Pappas being guarded by Champagnie. Shavar and Posh. And there's Pappas from from the corner. He's short again. He's been short on most of his shots tonight. He still has yet to make a field goal. 0 for 7 from the field. Nice pass. There's Penny over Pappas, short.
Penny might have got hit in the face during that shot. That was a late contest by Pappas. I think he got hit.
There's Shavar Reynolds. And ball going to be going to St. John's. Here's another look at that shot where you think he got hit.
Watch that late contest. You see right at the end. Man, I mean, it looks like an eye patch. He's wearing an eye patch made of George Pappas's hand. It's hard for the referees to see, though, so I can understand why that goes uncalled.
They switch on the Wusu, and somebody's open. There he is. Rebound grab by Pappas.
And Iwe, number 22, he can shoot threes. It's not necessarily the #1 option that St. John's wants to get, but he is a mobile, agile big man as Monmouth turns it over. We've already seen Iwe get the ball at the top of the key, and rather than reverse the ball, he is skilled and can take you off the bounce. He's got a ton of potential to me, just a junior.
You can see King Rice having a conversation there with Marcus McClary as he comes off the floor. Samuel Chapu checking in for the Hawks. And there's a nice in-control basket for Montez Mathis. Reynolds dropping it off for Miller.
Breaking the pressure that Posh Alexander is going to put on you and then not slowing down. That was a travel right there.
I thought it was too. They Wusu kind of lost it and got it back. They're going to call a jump ball down low.
You cannot pass the ball to yourself like that. If you let it go and you're the first person to touch it, and I didn't see anybody touch it on Monmouth's side. Look, he throws this ball out to no one, and he is the first player to pick it up. That's a break for St. John's. What can they do with it here on the baseline and out of bounds?
Wusu with 5 on the shot clock, fires, and rebound gathered by Shavar Reynolds.
Settled right there. Wusu, his advantage is his size, his driving ability, and his finishing at the rim. He is a capable three-point shooter, but after a couple of passes, not a couple of jab step fakes and launch.
There's Chapu, guarded by Posh. It looked like he kind of lost the handle on that runner as he was going up.
Isolating against Posh Alexander, not a good idea. I'll just leave it at that.
Good defensive player, great passer. Posh Alexander, according to King Rice, can be a one-man press on defense all by himself.
Really nice right-to-left crossover there. And now Monmouth defensively is playing from behind. There are not a lot of players in the country, folks, that are faster with the basketball than this young man right here. I had the privilege of playing in the NBA for 4 years, Dan. I played with a guy named Leandro Barbosa, who from Brazil, and I played with him his rookie and his second year, and he was a blur. They called him the Brazilian blur with the basketball. It's one thing to just be fast running,
sure,
but when you have the basketball to be fast with it, as everybody else is without it, it's really impressive.
Alexander certainly has that skill, one of the best point guards in the country.
He's got to limit his turnovers. It's been a problem for him. It's a gift and a curse, right? To be that fast is an incredible gift. It can be a curse, though, because he has to make decisions quicker than most people have to.
And he is the primary ball handler. We asked Mike Anderson about that because he's turned the ball over almost one more time per game as Miller misses the 3 than he was last year. And Coach Anderson said, due in part to the fact, it's Omar Stanley
And that was created by Julian Champagny. Do you see it? You wouldn't know if you were watching this game as they try to get the ball to Walker Miller down low, and he does a smart play by throwing it off of Montez Mathis. You wouldn't know that Julian Champagny is one of the best scorers in the country. He's not hunting his shot. So this is a fun game we got going, Dan. Shavar Reynolds has been awesome. And, of course, St. John's in transition. Forget about it. There's Omar Stanley with the bucket.
Only 2 players from St. John's have won the Big East Player of the Year award. Chris Mullen won it 3 times from 83 to 85. Walter Berry won it the following year in 1986. And you want to feel old? 40 years ago, Chris Mullen and Patrick Ewing were freshmen at St. John's and Georgetown.
Oh, that's pretty remarkable. I'm 40 years old. I was born in 1981. So.
That is hard to believe. Posh Alexander, Julian Champagny, 2 of the next great ones here at St. John's.
And Posh Alexander, to me, Dan, is trying to make the same leap this year as a sophomore as Julian Champagny made last year, right? Julian Champagny won the Big East Most Improved Player of the Year because he doubled his scoring and nearly doubled his rebounding and just his productivity overall as Shavar Reynolds meets Omar Stanley at the rim.
And on a break, Posh Alexander goes up, couldn't get a handle on the ball.
That's one they have to have.
And this time, Stanley unable to stop Shavar Reynolds on the drive. So we're back to a 9-point game with 15 to go.
And I know we have 15 minutes left, right? A lot of basketball, but that was a 4-point swing in a game. That could be something. When Posh Alexander gets the ball in the middle, he's got to turn and be a threat at the rim.
Montez Mathis hits. Back to a 12-point lead for the Johnnies. For Mathis, it's now 12 points in the game. He's the second leading scorer for St. John's.
He's been good. And he has shown. He's played in big games now. He had 10 points against Houston last season in this second round of the NCAA tournament.
That's that little flip shot, turnaround, runner, whatever you call it, from Miller. And it's almost unstoppable because he just releases it so quickly.
Yeah, he's almost 7 feet tall. He is very unorthodox. Has not played well up until now offensively. But yeah, to your point, he's got right hand, left hand around the rim.
And there's Champagny, Julian Champagny, starting to come alive a little bit. His second three-pointer of the game. He now has 8 for the Giants. With his first points of the game, hits the threes, 1 for 8 from the field. They need him to heat up and heat up in a hurry.
Yeah, he is a shooter. Speaking of shooters, here's one. Julian Champagny, but Pappas right here with the ball. Over 70% of his shots are threes. He is hunting the line.
Well, and you can see it right there.
Yeah.
He had the opportunity to take it in. Instead, he chose to pull up on the break.
Posh wants to post up everybody. You can put the center on Posh Alexander. He still feels like he's going to beat them down low.
And there's Miller on the break. Walker Miller. Now with 8 points.
You know, he's coming off a career-high game, Dan, and we haven't really called his name much, right? He had a monster game against Canisius, 24 points.
Grad transfer, Walker Miller from North Carolina, been a very important piece of this Monmouth offense this year. Huge day in college hoops on Saturday, a doubleheader on Fox. First, UCLA takes on Marquette at 2:30 Eastern. Then at 5, Arizona and Illinois. You can catch it all on Fox and the Fox Sports app. You're going to be a busy man that day, Casey.
Ooh-wee, I'm going to be on studio for that, Fox. And look at that matchup. Like UCLA, you know, coming off that devastating loss in the Final Four last year to Gonzaga, they have validated that top 5 ranking. And Marquette's better than we all thought, by the way, in Shaka Smart's first season there with the Golden Eagles. But I think Arizona is the biggest surprise team in the country. They got a first-year head coach in Tommy Lloyd, and he has turned that team into kind of like a St. John's up-and-down affair. But they also play really steady defense, too.
And hard fun to watch. The follow from Mathis doesn't go. Rebound going to Ruddy.
Nice move.
Chaput blocked. Omar Stanley making his presence felt defensively for the Johnnies here in the second half.
You know, I think head coach Mike Anderson for St. John's has challenged some of his bench players. Hey, do you want minutes? Show me the energy and the effort on the defensive end. And that's what Omar Stanley's doing. He's a freshman, right? Him and Pinzone, we saw early in the first half, are the only two freshmen that really are in the rotation. That's a travel.
That you could just see Miller he wasn't strong enough with Omar Stanley there. He tries to put that shoulder down, just couldn't do it against him.
Yeah, sometimes when I watch Walker Miller play, he doesn't play with a very wide base, right? He's 6'11", he's not very sturdy. Unless he's low man wins. That's what coaches would always tell me. The low man wins. That goes for football and basketball.
I was just going to say, absolutely. They talk about that all the time.
And right there, Julian Champagne got low, right? He put his shoulder into him in the post and made Monmouth move out of the way.
Staying with it. Off his miss, gets the basket to go. And George Pappas, after not hitting a shot in the first half, hits a three earlier, then follows his own shot here.
There are very few players in the country, and I mean this, that can start a game going 1 for 10 and still play as aggressive as George Pappas. He has a different mentality than you and I. And if you need proof, I will never forget in 2019 when he was playing at Kansas. And I hope we could show it. We'll have some time to maybe show it. But at the end, they were losing by 55 points. And George Pappas, he didn't care. He was still playing all the way to the buzzer.
Yeah, that's a great piece of video. And he let him hear about it afterwards, too. Here's Champagne on the drive and hits Champagne now. Starting to score a little bit more here. 12 points in the game for Champagne after just 5 in the first half.
And he's not settling for threes, although he's a really good three-point shooter, so anytime he gets a good look, it's really not a settle. But I mean to say, it's clear that he wants to attack the rim.
Look at the defense from Posh Alexander. St. John's coming up with the steal, and here's Champagne on the dunk, and it was all started by Posh Alexander.
This is how St. John's wants to play, right? They're going to pick you up full court. Sometimes they're going to run and jump trap you. With this young man, Posh Alexander, leading. He is the spearhead of the defense.
They're going to call the foul on Stanley. Pappas drops it off for Ruddy. And they'll be going to the line here. How about this?
Steph Smith, Montez Mathis, and get it to Julian Champagne, who's got 3 baskets in a row for St. John's, all in the paint.
Quiet first half for Julian Champagne, as they say across the pond. He was off the boil. Not anymore. Starting to heat up here in the second half, Kate.
Yeah, he is what I call a 4-level scorer. He can shoot it from 3. He's got a mid-range game at the rim. He also gets to the foul line. But take a look at this. In their 2 losses, Julian Champagne has exploded. Now, those 2 losses are against the best 2 opponents that St. John's has played, Kansas and Indiana. Now, folks, hear me out. I am not suggesting that Julian Champagne should score less. You know, I think he should be applauded for how well he has stepped up his game when it's needed. The point I would like to make, though, is that he can't do it on his own. This St. John's team is best when they spread it around. Posh Alexander getting to the rim. Dylan Adewusu getting to the rim as well. Montez, Mathis contributing. So this offense is so much better when it's balanced. In the 2 losses, what I really noticed is how great Julian Champagne was and how everybody just watched him and just hoped he would win the game for him.
And that one goes for St. John's. They have Steph Smith. They have Rafael Pinzone, who have now checked into the game in the backcourt. So a couple of fresh faces.
And really important minutes for Steph Smith and Pinzone, the 2 guys you mentioned, Dan. They've been in and out of the lineup, playing time. They want to play more. They got to do it on this end if they're going to get it.
And Pappas stepped out of bounds. Johnny's take over.
They've made a concerted effort to get into George Pappas' jersey. Most of the credit, not all of it, but most of the credit goes to Montez Mathis, who has taken on the challenge to shut down George Pappas.
There's Pinzon with a little pull-up off the glass, gets it to go.
Beautiful move there. Off the bounce, off the glass. Freshman with potential written all over.
Oh, absolutely. Number 4 recruit in New York. Missed 3 games with a fractured left ring finger. And he's back and ready to go. They'd like to get him some minutes before conference play starts. Strong take by McClary. And Monmouth rather just hanging around. They haven't gone on any big runs. Kind of waiting for that to happen. Perhaps this could be it. Get the steal, McClary. Okay, back to a 10-point ballgame.
And just how Pinzon showed off his offensive skill set right there, kind of shows his freshman inexperience and not a whole lot of pressure, and just coughed the ball up.
Smith. I was trying to count him in my head, but it was at least twice. You can see that from three-point land very often. Good defense, Champagny. Hanging with it inside is Miles Foster. He'll go to the line.
Well, Steph Smith has provided a nice boost offensively. This is a difficult shot, folks. A jab step 3 that was well contested. That one spun around a couple of times. And Steph Smith coming into the game was just 24% from the three-point arc, 6 of 25. He's already made 3 today. So if they can get anywhere near that kind of production from him on the perimeter, it could unlock a different level for the St. John's offense.
And Mike Anderson likes Steph Smith coming off the bench. He started the first 7 games. But he would like that instant offense. Smith is a guy who averaged 13 points per game over 3 seasons at Vermont. One of the reasons he's at St. John's is because he scored 17 in a win here in Anderson's first year. Monmouth.
Nice tap there from Shavar Reynolds to get his team an extra possession.
Point ball game, under 9 minutes to go here. And there's McClary. McClary with his first three-pointer of the ball game cuts the deficit to 10.
Hey, that was a short closeout by Omar Stanley, daring McClary to shoot.
They're going to call the blocking foul, and here's Steph Smith being aggressive, not just from beyond the arc.
Well, he had a really nice game against Indiana. He had 16 points. This is the second most on the team behind Julian Champagny that night. He is not just a three-point shooter, right? Against Indiana, he was just 1 for 5 from 3. Most of his baskets were of this kind. Living on the baseline, driving to the rim, taking contact.
74% free throw shooter on the season. St. John's gets it back here, Champagny. McClary 1-on-3. They're going to call the reach-in foul.
They're going to call that a shooting foul.
They'll call that a shooting foul. Wow, looked like it was on the ground a minute.
That was a 1-on-3 fast break. And watch here. He's about to pick the ball up.
How's that a shooting foul?
Well, if it's on Steph Smith, did they call that on Dylan Adewusu or Steph Smith?
I thought they did. That's a good question.
Because honestly, that would be the difference between that should have been a foul on the floor, or if they called it on Steph Smith, and that was definitely a shooting foul.
Smith did raise his hand, kind of acknowledging, hey, my bad, foul's on me. So you are correct, sir.
When we spoke with King Rice from Monmouth, he mentioned Marcus McClary and how they had to basically change his shot. He was not a good three-point shooter last year. He had a hitch in his shot. They had to take the hitch out, and also they needed to have him shoot with better balance, and that started with a lot of work at the free throw line. Putting in a lot of hours, did McClary. Nice pass.
Wide open. Shot does not fall for Steph Smith. Called a jump ball. You talked about the free throws. Things starting to even out a little bit here. Monmouth has shot 12 free throws, St. John's 15, and you can see the tie-up here.
Wow. With one hand, right? Normally, like it would take me 2 hands to be able to tie up a guy like that. But Adai Wusu is so strong, he only needs one paw.
Yeah, that's that DK Metcalf strength right there, right? Grip strength. There's Miles Ruth with the steal, then he's fouled. A 10-point ball game here in Queens. Monmouth, a 7-game winning streak is on the line. They're trying to make some noise here in a hurry.
Come down and execute. Their ball, but their line, we got to rebound the ball at the free throw line. Okay? Then let's come down and let's execute. Matter of fact, let's run in one game. See, you run in one game, okay? Run in one game. Got it? Run in one game, and let's get our defense set, okay? All right.
Mike Anderson coaching them up. The Johnnies with a 10-point lead, just under 8 minutes to go. Look at Shavar Reynolds after that huge first half. Reynolds has been relatively quiet thus far here in the second.
Yeah, but it's not because he's gone cold. He just is. I think St. John's has dialed up the defensive pressure. They're not going to let him get off any more threes. Again, he had 5 threes in the first half. He's only taken 1 in the second half. So a good job done by St. John's making that adjustment. You know a coach's favorite word, Dan? Execution. Execution. I've probably heard that 2,000 times during my 3-year career at Stanford by my head coach, Mike Montgomery. Mike Anderson is the same. All coaches want their teams to take care of the basketball and execute in the half court or in the full court, right? If you're getting pressed by Monmouth. Nothing drives a coach more crazy when you just freelance and try and win games on your own.
There are not many who can do that. Julian Champagny, who just unleashed that one, maybe one of them who can, but he plays within that system so well. There's Ruth, who just hit the 2 free throws. Monmouth, for a good portion of the season, was the best free throw shooting team in the land. 8th in the country, so if this goes to the line here in the last few minutes, that could be a factor.
Really nice deflection there from Julian Champagny. Monmouth was trying to get Pappas a shot. He was open at the wing if it weren't for Champagny's deflection there.
Dave Wusu puts his shoulder down and just trucks Miles Ruth.
We should have showed Miles Ruth the graphic, but we compared this dude to DK Metcalf and Derrick Henry for good reason. And there are some guys, Dan, where when they drive, they bounce off of people. And then there are other guys where defenders bounce off them. That's Champagny. How many times have I seen St. John's run a baseline out-of-bounds play, put Champagny right in the middle of the paint, and just lob it up to him? He's so good at that.
Champagny was 16. And here comes Montez Mathis. And Pappas blocks the shot. I think he was talking along the way.
And that's what he does. He's having one of the worst shooting nights of his career, and he doesn't care. He is a feisty competitor. That was actually a really nice block. Give him credit on that. And Mathis gets up and just smiles. And what are you going to do?
Posh a little bit too strong. Yeah, Pappas he just plays with an edge. And it's funny, King Rice said that he's been calmed down by Shavar Reynolds this year.
I laughed at that.
Maybe not calmed down a whole lot,
yeah,
just a little bit.
Like, is Shavar Reynolds Jr. a miracle worker? Because I don't know if anybody could calm down George Pappas a lot.
And there's McClary from the elbow. And 8-point ball game. McClary now with 11.
All 4 of his made field goals have come in the second half. He was non-existent in the first, and he's got too much pride. Another 5th-year senior.
Russo, ball goes on the ground. He calls a timeout. He was surrounded by Hawks. They refuse to go away. Monmouth hanging around here in Queens, trying to pull off the upset. Under 6 to go. Marcus McClary didn't do a whole lot from the scoring standpoint in the first half for Monmouth, but he is starting to heat up. 11 points here in the second half, and this is a guy they need if they want to pull off a victory. He has played in 124 games. He's on track to shatter the Monmouth record 4 games played. An important piece of the puzzle here for King Rice.
Huge guy. He's a star in his role, Dan. Is the best way I would describe him. He's 24 years old. He has taken a step forward offensively. We've talked about his defense. He is the best defender pound for pound on this Monmouth team. But he is a double-digit scorer, something that I don't know if King Rice would have said a year ago. Here he is again.
And he's stripped by Mathis. Ball's going to stay here.
I have been really impressed with Montez Mathis, number 23, and his active hands on defense. He has taken the task of slowing George Pappas. That might have been a foul. He definitely got McCleary across the arm there. I think the official was blocked, so he couldn't see that.
Here's Pappas. Look like he stepped out of bounds again. He did that earlier on the baseline. They didn't call it. Javar Reynolds over Champagny, got it. He now has 23, 2 off his career high.
And if I'm going to be blunt, Julian Champagny's got to shut that down as Mathis gets a nice little runner off the glass to go. Julian Champagny has got to be a better one-on-one defender. That's a matchup that he's got to win against Javar Reynolds. And the numbers back it up, what I'm saying. Opponents shoot 47% in isolation situations against Champagny this season.
Yeah, he has a 6-inch height advantage on Javar Reynolds as well. As we mentioned earlier, that's something he's been trying to improve on, trying to work on, and still a work in progress on the defensive side of the ball for Julian Champagny. Certainly not the first time we've said that about a player who's as special offensively as he is.
No doubt. No question. And Julian Champagny is aware of everything I said. I'm not being unfair. He is humble, and he knows his shortcomings. He's still going to be a pro in the NBA because he can score it. But, how well his career progresses beyond, I think, is going to be up to his defensive ability.
Tough shot from Javar Reynolds. Pappas comes up with it. He's fouled as he goes up. George Pappas will be shooting 2.
He's really frustrated. You can tell the look on his face. He loses this ball. Watch, he loses the ball as it goes up. Oh, he did get, that was actually a good call. I didn't see that in real time. And that's why I got to give the referees credit. Dan, I don't do this a lot, okay? Because when I played, I hated officials. But as a broadcaster, we get the luxury of seeing it in slow-mo. They have to make that call and make it correctly in real time. It's hard to do.
Not an easy job.
And what? I thought he lost the ball here, but Adewusu gets him on the hand. That was an excellent call.
Pappas, an 89% free throw shooter in the season.
His shooting numbers are off the charts, like in general. Have you heard of the 50-40-90 club in basketball, Dan?
No.
50% overall from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line. It's rarely ever done at any level. And Pappas he's not there, but he's close.
On the cusp. Foul called on Nike Ruddy. And Posh continuing to make things happen for St. John's. The point guard loves to do the dirty work. Back in Queens, St. John's up by 8 on Monmouth. 4 players in double figures for the Johnny. Javar Reynolds leading the way for the Hawks with 23 points. Marcus McClary chipping in 11. Foster has 13 as well.
And if you're St. John's fan, you love to see the balance, right? Of course, you would love to watch Julian Champagny go off for 30, but this team is most potent when everybody's getting in on the action. Offensively, St. John's is second in points per game in the Big East with 85 points per game, so they're right on track. Probably going to surpass 85 tonight. This is a very efficient offense led by this young man right here. It's the defensive end that has let them down, in particular their 2 losses. Kansas, they let them get away in the second half big time. But I guess that's why Kansas is a top 10 team in the country.
There is a reason for that. Also, one of the points of emphasis coming into this game for St. John's was fewer turnovers. They've been pretty good, just 9 so far in the game, well below their 16 per game average. Reynolds working on Posh Alexander. Wusu on McClary pulls up, tough shot, rebound to Champagny.
That was an Iverson cut for an isolation from McClary, and that's just one-on-one defense right there from Wusu.
Omar Stanley. Nothing flashy, but just textbook, and that'll work. And another steal for St. John's. Champagny has a shot blocked by Miller. Wusu, though, finds Stanley. Stanley's fouled by Ruddy.
And this is the moment right here. It feels like this game is in the balance for both of these teams, right? St. John's had the lead for most of the second half, but this is the moment, the last 4 or 5 minutes of this game. The goal for St. John's, right, in every game they play, with the style that they have, Mike Anderson, he wants to wear down his opponent. Of course, every team wants to blow out their opponent, but the way that St. John's plays defensively, where they're going to press you full court, they're going to stick Posh Alexander on you, the hope is that your opponent doesn't have the strength and the mental toughness to endure it for 40 minutes.
Stanley has yet to hit a free throw this season, just 0 for 3 from the line. Stays an 11-point game until now, as Walker Miller makes it a 9-point game. And Walker Miller now in double figures for Monmouth, came in averaging 14.5 per game. And it seems like we've been around this 8, 9, 10-point lead for St. John's as Monmouth has a chance here to trim it up a little bit, and that they do. Marcus McClary hits the 3.
That was a 3-on-1 fast break right there, Dan. He just pulled up. And look, when I played college basketball 20 years ago, you'd have been taken out for taking a shot like that. But this is the new day and age, man. If you were open from 3, it doesn't matter if it's a fast break, half court, doesn't matter. Let it fly.
Champagny.
Wow, what a save there.
That was pretty headsy play by Posh Alexander. And it's going to be going to Monmouth. Good hustle on both sides of the ball here. Check this out.
The difference between college basketball and NBA hoops is this play right here. You're going to see Kevin Durant, LeBron James getting on the floor wrestling for a ball? I think not. These players know this is more than just a game. This is personal, right? New Jersey versus New York. These players have known each other since they were kids playing AAU ball.
Oh, by the way, it's a 6-point ball game right now.
And Monmouth, who's a top 10 free throw shooting team in America, has struggled the last 2 games making foul shots. They just missed another one there.
McClary called for the reach-in foul. And we talked about this when we tipped off here. Monmouth coming in with a excellent net ranking of 44. St. John's 111, and this is a formula. The NCAA, you mentioned it earlier, hired Google. We don't even know what's in the formula.
They haven't released it.
It's a secret sauce, but I'm sure it's strength of schedule and a lot of different things that go into it. But the net ranking for Monmouth at this point in the season, uber impressive.
It's incredible, but not a surprise if you follow college basketball, you follow King Rice. This Monmouth team, remember in 2015 and 16, that team went 28-8. They had 5 wins over power conference opponents like UCLA, Notre Dame, USC, and Georgetown that year. They also went viral on the internet because of the bench mob, right? Every time they would score a big bucket, the bench guys would do some sort of like Sistine Chapel pose, and it was pretty awesome. But this is a basketball school, a real program, who has won 7 games in a row for a reason. As we look at the upcoming schedule for St. John's, we still have a big game against another power conference school in Pittsburgh coming up. Actually, Colgate. Let's not gloss over the Raiders. The Fighting Rob Stones.
Got to give Stoner a little love. Colgate soccer player.
Rob Stone, our colleague here at Fox and FS1, does a great job hosting all the shows and dealing with all the knuckleheads like me and Steve Lavin. And
not an easy job. No. See, Shavar Reynolds called for the charge. She was dribbling all over the place, and he did not like that.
I don't have the official numbers for St. John's defensively, charges taken, but I would venture to guess that Dylan Adewusu is, if not the top, he's right up there. He doesn't mind putting his strong body on the line. He had a couple in their last game against Fordham, and this is a big play.
Huge. 1:49 to go. It's a 6-point game.
That's one in the film room. They're going to watch and say, that's how you win basketball games. A lot of these games come down to 1 or 2 possessions. How can you get an extra possession? Well, Dylan Adewusu just did it.
Shavar Reynolds on Posh Alexander.
Watch Champagny here on the block.
There's Adewusu. Nice pass. Then it's gathered back up. Adewusu fouled by Miller going up, kind of spinning his way to the basket. And he got knocked on the head there.
And kind of out of control a little bit. Tried to thread the needle. It was there, but it had to be a perfect pass. Watch him kind of just spin into, not a lot of contact there. Wow, I'm actually surprised that he dropped that foul.
Adewusu, a 76% free throw shooter. Just his 7th point of the game. And a 7-point lead for St. John's. 1:22 to go here in the game. And Adewusu trying to make it 8, and he does.
He's going to back off pressure a little bit.
The clock's starting to become an issue here for Monmouth, down by 8. Reynolds out to Miller. Miller gets it. 5-point ball game. 1:10 to go.
Walker Miller, just his 5th 3-point made field goal of the season. That was a really nice play. They call that baseline drive, baseline drift. If your teammate drives to the baseline, you got to fill that opposite corner or wing.
Oh, you remember this, Casey?
Never forget it.
Shavar Reynolds, playing for Seton Hall back in 2018, hits the game winner. He is no stranger to tight ball games with the Johnnies. I don't know, maybe it's a little foreshadowing. Maybe this could happen today.
Maybe this was the plan all along, and Shavar Reynolds has the St. John's Red Storm exactly where he wants them. That was an and one, by the way. They didn't even need to shoot the free throw, right? Because the game was over. It was so much fun to watch that game at the Prudential Center. Packed house. He's been a lot of fun. I have a lot of respect for all of these young men, but, you know, as broadcasters, Stan, we do get, you know,
you have your favorites. You can just say it.
Yeah, like Shavar Reynolds to me is one of those guys who, like, I would teach other players, hey, do it like this young man did it. He's earned everything that he's ever been given, and was a walk-on his freshman year at Seton Hall, earned a scholarship, came off the bench, and didn't start until he was a senior. Went from being a role player to a really vital star in his role. We got a lot of respect for him.
We're going to call the offensive foul on Adewusu, so a 5-point lead with a minute to go. And Monmouth has a ball looking to cut into it. Here's another look.
Just out of control, took one extra dribble, right? He's got to see that defense shift coming a half second early. He can jump stop. He had plenty of time. Could have jump stopped off 2 feet, make the extra pass. Sometimes when you put the ball on the floor, Dan, as an offensive player, if you don't have a plan, it's trouble.
56 seconds to go. Fouled on a three-point shot. Almost went down for Pappas. He'll be shooting 3.
A brutal mistake by Montez Mathis, who defensively has been almost perfect today. But you're putting a near 90% foul shooter on the line. And mind you, he has not had a good night shooting the ball. Just 1 of 9 from 3. So Mathis, you got to be like, hey, there's no way I'm going to foul him and give him some uncontested looks here.
And there's the first. If he can make these next 2, we're looking at a 2-point ball game with under a minute to go.
You notice how he's 1 for 9, is Pappas from 3, and yet Monmouth is still running their offense in crunch time to get him a shot. They know this young man has a short memory. He does not care that he's struggling. He knows the responsibility that he has on his shoulders.
Pappas now with 10 points, 5 players in double figures for the Hawks. Makes his 3rd straight free throw, and we have a 2-point ball game with 53 seconds to go here in Queens.
And now Monmouth is going to set up their full court man-to-man pressure here. See if they can make the Johnnies turn it over. Do not foul. Both teams are now in the bonus. Do not foul. Make them earn it.
This is Pappas on Posh. And St. John's going to call a timeout. 45 seconds to go. 2-point ball game. Monmouth has mounted the comeback that we've been waiting for this entire game. We talked about the free throws. George Pappas hits 3 when he's fouled on a 3-point attempt. And we have a ball game, my man. We do. And so what is St. John's head coach Mike Anderson going to draw up on this offensive possession here? Last time they got Dylan Adewusu in the mid-post area. I think Julian Champagnie has earned his stripes here. You get him the ball in the mid-post area or at the foul line extended, maybe a clear out. I'm always of the opinion that when you have a player as good as Julian Champagnie or as good as Posh Alexander, less is more. You don't need to run intricate sets, multiple screens, clear out a side, get your best player the ball, and let him make a play. It doesn't mean he has to shoot it, but let him be the one to decide if he's going to take it or if he's going to create for someone else. The old KISS, keep it simple, silly.
Yep.
Well, let's see what they draw up here. Mike Anderson has been one of the best for a long, long time. Actually been a mentor to King Rice throughout much of his career. Rice talked to us about the tremendous amount of respect that he had for Anderson and just so appreciated the way that he's reached out and mentored him over the years. Now, I'm sorry, in case I said, now he has a chance to potentially knock him off.
Yeah. And defensively, Monmouth, they switch everything. This isn't new. It's not something that they do at the end of the game. They do it all game. They are going to go man-to-man defensively. They are going to switch every screen, 1 through 5, and make you take them off the bounce.
Huge offensive possession here for St. John's.
On the block right here, mid-post. Just cleared out.
Reynolds over on Champagne. They double him. Adewusu driving the line. Hand it in.
Beautiful. Beautiful offensive execution. Take what the defense gives.
Adewusu with 10. 28 to go. Down by 4. Shavar Reynolds guarded by Posh Alexander. Shavar wants to do it by himself. Gets it to go. Back to a 3-point ball game. Under 20 seconds left.
They have to foul.
They'll do it quick. And there it is, coming in from Walker Miller on Adewusu.
Great execution on both ends. I love this. And Reynolds not settling for any three. He knows that could have been an and one. Wow, watching that on the replay, I was actually glad it was a no call in real time, but he went right at the body of Posh Alexander. That could have been an and one opportunity there. That
basket gave Reynolds 25 points, tying his career high from the St. Joe's game in November. More importantly, that free throw good for Owusu.
This next free throw is even more crucial, right? Because now it's a one-possession game. If he misses it, then Monmouth can tie it with a three. But if he makes it, it could seal this game.
And Owusu, a 76% free throw shooter. And is...
Oh, that was off his leg.
They're going to keep the ball here.
Oh, they're going to take a look at this. That Posh Alexander, I don't know how he did this.
I thought he knocked it off Ruddy's leg, right?
He did. But they're going to take a look at this. I believe they gave the ball to St. John's. Watch this. And he's not out of bounds yet. That is a legal play. And that ball is bouncing on the end line. This is a game-sealing play right here. Incredible. Right off the knee.
And Ruddy is already out of bounds. So that's, yeah, what a play. And Posh knows it.
I mean, come on, man. That's one of the best defensive plays I've seen this season at the end of a game. And there are very few players who can make that particular play. He always lurks around in the shadows. On made or missed field goals, Posh Alexander is not trained to backpedal on defense. He is charging forward, and he's looking to strip or tip a ball out of bounds. This is incredible, folks.
Gets it out of his hand before his left foot comes down.
Absolutely he does. It's really close, but there's no evidence to say that he is out of bounds before he touches this ball. It's hard to see his left foot in that angle right there.
I thought he got it out. This is, this is like you're reviewing a catch in the NFL, right? This is
at the end of a game that could possibly decide it too, right?
Or in college where you only need one foot down. And it looks like they did indeed rule it to be St. John's ball.
Man. All right, still a lot of basketball left to be played. Monmouth is going to try and get a steal right away, but then they have to foul to extend this game.
Posh Alexander with 19 points, the leading scorer for St. John's. Just under 12 seconds to go. Almost forced the turnover, but Posh comes back to get it, and he's fouled by Walker Miller.
Almost a disaster. Julian Champagne, I'm not sure why he kind of held the ball above his head. Just be strong with it. Make them foul you. You're the best player on the floor. Watch him here kind of just get tentative. Ball above his head. Wow. And again, look, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but we talk a lot as broadcasters about guys making winning plays, right? Quote, winning plays, whatever that means. I will clearly define it for our audience. The last two plays that Posh Alexander has made is exactly what we mean while we say winning plays. He didn't wait for the ball. He went and got it for the second consecutive time. If St. John's wins this game, it's a team effort, but they need to thank Posh Alexander for his extra effort.
2 plays in a row. Posh Alexander, the sophomore from Brooklyn, has come up large. And it's going to be a very interesting finish here in Queens. Still a 3-point game. 8 seconds to go. And there is a look at Posh Alexander. We talked about the turnovers. Just 1 turnover.
That's it.
In the game tonight.
That's what you want. He leads the Big East Conference in assists per game with 6. Last year, he was 6th in the Big East. Paul Scruggs led the league for Xavier. But Paul's going to be battling with this guy for the rest of the season. It's going to be fun to watch.
Alexander, a 74% free throw shooter, gets the first.
Monmouth needs a 3 as soon as possible.
Here's McClary. And that looks like that's going to do it. 2.3 seconds left. Had a good look, did McClary.
Absolutely. This was a really fun game. We thought that it would come down to the last couple of minutes. Look, Monmouth's 7-game win streak comes to an end. This is a very good team. They're going to do some damage in the Metro Atlantic Conference competing against Iona. But St. John's gutted this one out. Look, I thought defensively they took away Monmouth's leading scorer, George Pappas. They made him shoot just 2 of 12. Offensively, it was a team effort. But Posh Alexander saved the night at the end of this game. Incredible.
In the middle of an 8-game homestand, St. John's improves to 7-0 on the season in the comfy confines of Carneseca Arena. Now 7-2 on the season. 88-83 the final here in Queens.